They have, yeah.
Okay.
When they make the cheeks, yeah.
It's weird, but how the language is. So weird.
And like how big sometimes the thing is how emphatically someone is speaking or how authoritative. Yeah.
Deck almost got all day long. That's what I get 90% of the time. Nobody's Call the meeting to order. Ask everybody to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Corbett.
Here.
Alderman Matthews.
Here.
Alderman Fisk.
Here.
Alderman Spicer.
Here.
Alderman Wall.
We need to adopt the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to adopt.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need to approve the minutes from the January 16th study session and board of mayor and alderman meeting. You got a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So welcome all our visitors. Thank you for coming. No proclamations tonight. Public comment section. Nobody has signed up to speak. We have no public hearings. Communication. I'll start. I'd like to thank Isaiah and his team. You guys have had a hell of a month with the rain and the snow right on top of it, but you guys have been professional. You've been responsive, and I really appreciate it. I know you get your hands full, but you and your whole department's doing a great job. So thank you. Working weekends and whatever it took. So thank you. Alderman Sisk.
No, I was going to say the same thing.
Vice Mayor Spicer.
Ditto.
Alderman Matthews.
I don't have anything, but yeah, I do appreciate their work. I know this time of the year is tough on them, especially with we have rain. So.
City Attorney? Right. City Administrator?
Yes, sir, I always do. Seems like bid open for the Stage Road widening project is Cardinal Drive. US 31W is scheduled for March 3rd, and we used our new purchasing software, and you have all approved us to have, and we're getting interest from vendors that we have not seen in the past. We're hopeful about this new purchasing software. We had a meeting yesterday with the contractor and the architect for the new recreation center. They did hook up a temporary Piedmont natural gas meter, and so as soon as we get the water line and backflow preventer inspected by the White House Utility District and approved, they can get water in that boiler and start running heat. That's going to be important. We need that heat because the underfloor for the gymnasium has been delivered and it's being installed. Once we get heat in the building, then they can bring in the finished, I think it's maple wood that they're going to bring in. And they have to leave it sit for a little while, about a week, and then they can start installing it. So we're all working together. I had a team meeting yesterday to meet with inspectors, fire, and our planning commission, planning inspectors, code inspectors, and trying to make sure that we can get this facility, possibly at least the gym, open for volleyball, which starts the second week of April. I've asked them if they could just get us in the side door, get the parking lot, lower parking lot done, and allow us to enter the one side of the building. You could use the gym, we'll put porta potties outside, and then the rest of the building will be locked off. And it won't be in the evening, so they can still do their work during the day to continue getting the building up to par. So I think a lot of it's going to rely on whether or not the state electrical inspector will allow us to do this. So we're inquiring, trying to get all the information done. So that's what we have going on with that. I too want to thank our Public Works Director and staff for the exceptional work they did mitigating the flooding issues and then turning around and having to get our streets plowed for snow and ice for our safe travels. I mean, that's quite a quick turnaround. I told Isaiah if we had a employee of the year, he wins it. He gets it for the year. He's provided quite a bit of leadership out there for his team. I also want to thank Mayor Corbett for his leadership in getting the message out to developers concerning erosion control mitigation. It was just a little overwhelming for us, and we've had many improvements were made as a result of his actions over the past 2 weeks, and I just want to thank you for that. You know, some of the folks that were on the stop work order have met all their inspection requirements, and they're starting to be able to build again. We're allowing that, but those that have chosen not to get their work done and get the erosion taken care of, they're going to start getting fines. And I looked at one today where we're going to be fining wanted to offer, so that's where we're at, so thank you, Mayor, for doing that for us.
All right, need to acknowledge our reports, is there a motion?
Motion to acknowledge.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of following resolutions. Resolution 25-02, a resolution approving certain amendments and revisions to personnel manual. Got a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second?
Second.
All right, Ann?
I know that last month I did bring several personnel manual revisions to you, but as you know, you look at something so many times, you start to go cross-eyed. After we got them approved and got it updated, as I was going through it, I found a few tweaks that needed to be made. In section 4.4, number 5, the new higher rates of pay, rather than just having the department head submit a request, we actually created a form that has to be used that you'll see at the end of this, that has to show written documentation of why they believe that a new hire should be hired in at a different rate, and it requires signatures of approvals for everyone involved in the process, so there can be no question on it later on down the road, and we have documentation of that. On the next page, which is page 3, in section D2 on increase amount, when we're talking about promotional increases, one of the things that came up was a question of if we have an employee who is in one type of job but is moved to another, that they have experience in the second job that they didn't have in the first, should we consider that? And so that's why we added that section in. So if you have someone who's promoted to a position, say they're a wastewater tech 1, but they get promoted to a public works supervisor, which requires a CDL, if they have 10 years as a CDL dump truck driver, they should get credit for that, but they didn't need it for wastewater. So they may not have gotten it upon hire. So that's something for us wanted to bring before the committee to look at if that came up. And the exact same thing with the lateral reassignments. If they move from one position to another in the same grade, they may have experience in the new position that wasn't accounted for in the original position. In section 5.9, appointments, promotions, demotions, and transfers, there were several sections where compensation was addressed that had not been removed, so I removed those out because those are now included in the previous section, how that will be handled. Probationary period, section 5.10. We wanted to go through and update on probationary periods that the policy did not state that they had to have a probationary period evaluation. I added that in. We have been doing that in practice for about 7 or 8 years now. It just wasn't in policy, so I wanted to make sure that the policy matched what was in practice. And then section 5.11, I just added in the word annual performance appraisal so that we can separate out the probationary and the annual appraisals. In section 7.4, use of city vehicles and equipment, we are requesting to add in a fire training division chief for a take-home vehicle. And then on the 2 forms, the only updates were made was that we have a 90-day probationary period, 6 months, 12 months, and annual. That was the only thing that changed on that particular form. The boxes were mixed last month. And then the last form was the compensation review request form. As I said earlier, there's a section where they have to provide justification. The compensation committee recommendation is recorded, as well as any comments or notes. And then everyone on the compensation committee, as well as the department head who requested it, will sign off, and it will go in that employee's file.
Anybody got questions?
Do you guys actually take a vote when you reach a determined amount with the compensation committee?
It's not an official vote. We all discuss it and come to an agreement, but I don't think we've ever actually had any issue with everyone not coming to the same conclusion so far.
Do you have minutes for those meetings?
No, sir, we do not. That's
And
what
they're
this form will record.
And so, but they're not announced publicly, and so
No,
they're
sir,
private
because
meetings.
they deal with employee pay, and that's not something we discuss in public.
And it's not needed for sunshine law, we're not
Right.
having
Oh,
any
you don't have to
separation by our
board
board
members.
members, it's
Correct.
just employee only.
Any other discussion? Got a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
All right, motion carries. Resolution 25-03, a resolution adopting section 125 premium-only plan for the plan year ending March 31st, 2026. You got a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second?
Second.
All right.
I bring this before you every year. This is the resolution that allows us to take out certain employee health care deductions pre-tax rather than post-tax to save them a little bit of money on their federal income tax.
Questions, discussion? All right, We got a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of following ordinances. Ordinance 25-01, an ordinance amending the municipal code Title 8, Chapter 3, packaged liquor stores, Section 8-305, first reading. We got a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second?
Second.
Right?
Well,
Jerry, you want?
Yeah, I just, I'll take a little quick look here. Well, we've been getting a lot of inquiries about possibly having a third, packaged liquor store, issuing a third license. And so the mayor and I have had discussions, and we determined that we could probably go one more, and then, we'd have to, until we get to 24,000 people, and once we get to 24,000 people, then another one can be issued for the next 12,000. But we figure we'd get three, and we would like it to be at a different location. We don't want it to be on the main strip if possible. And so, what would happen is if this gets approved in the second reading, then we would be sending out requesting applications for those who might be interested in opening up a packaged liquor store. This board here will be the reviewers of those applications. This board will determine who would get the license out of those that have applied for it. So it's a little bit of a process, but we think it's something that should be considered at this time. The reason we have restrictions is because other cities have tried it where they've just opened the door and then they've had several in all the same locations, or they don't do very well. But we've been pretty successful with the two, and other cities have tried this and it seems to work for them too. So that's all I have on there.
So are we not allowed to say that it can only be in a certain part of town?
It's part of the review, I think, that we
Yeah,
have.
it would be the review of the board. I mean, there's certain limitations as to how close they can be to a school and church, and it's all written in the ordinance.
Right.
But other than that, you'll all would be making that decision
Yeah.
as to where you think would be the best
Yeah, that could be
location.
one of
Somebody
those.
says, yeah, I want to put it in the Kroger complex.
Right.
Well, we already got one there,
Right.
so it'd be ridiculous to do that again.
I just want to over concentration, and on the Robertson County side as opposed to Sumner, we don't have any of
Yeah,
that places.
right. Yeah, the only thing, they're limited on space where they can go, but it's a possibility, or darn close, as close as we can to the 31W line. So, yeah. Anyway, we'll have a lot of discussion on that, I'm sure, in the future.
Have we had anyone approach us for additional
Oh,
licenses?
we've had several.
Bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, several, we keep selling out.
Yep.
Have to wait till we get to 24,000 people.
Yeah, that's kind of what spurred this, so. All right, we got any discussion, questions? Got a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance 25-03, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance Article 5, Section 5.053.2, C-1, Central Business District. First reading, we got a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second?
Second.
This was brought about, there's a school looking, currently in Millersville, Life Christian Academy. And, they were looking at a building on 31W, the old Tennessee Flea Market, that's, eventually gonna, be empty. And most schools are located in R20, R15 and residential areas due to, limited traffic and kind of a community type atmosphere. This school's right on the edge of a R15 property, and we thought about rezoning it, but I think after we discussed in staff that it'd be better to add this to a special exception, which means that we'd be adding the schools, private schools, public schools to the special exception. It would still have to go to BZA for approval. So just say there was a school or a larger private school that wanted to, be on 31W, it'd have to go before BZA and have to meet criteria. So it's not just a blanket, use allowed, but I thought this would be the best scenario for that location for the Life Christian.
Okay.
So if we approve this, we're opening up to more traffic on 31W.
No, if you approve this, it gives them the option to go before BZA, then they still have to go before planning commission if they have site plan approval. But a school is also governed by state regulations, and so it's just not a blanket, saying it could be, open. They still have criteria that they have to meet.
I mean, I like this approach better than rezoning. I hate to lose the commercial zoning on it and make it residential, so I think that's.
Planning commission, I had both C2 and C1 just to kill two birds in one stone, and planning commission recommended it just be in C1, so.
So the school has not gone before any planning, zoning, board?
No.
You know, and likely, daycares are also allowed, and this particular school is, K through, I think K through 4, and K through 8, I think it was like 150 cars a day, similar, a little lighter, little heavier than a daycare, but again, they still have to meet, this particular school would not have to have site plan approval, because it's just retrofitting the building, but again, it still has to meet state regulations. That's still a big chunk for them to, an obstacle or hurdle that they have to overcome. If they're gonna apply for BZA, but again, they still have obstacles they gotta, adhere to by the state.
Any other discussion? All right, we got a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Purchasing, to approve or reject City Administrator Gerald Herman to sign a sole source agreement with Source Technologies for 1 year in the amount of $31,050 to provide evergreen odor scrubber operation and maintenance at the Wilkinson Lane and Copes Crossing lift stations. The wastewater director recommends approval. We got a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second?
So this would be basically a contract renewal for what's already in place for the odor scrubber units that are at the Copes lift station and the Wilkinson lift stations. Evergreen provides these scrubber units, including the maintenance and basic operation of them. It's all covered in the contract. Our contract has expired. We're on a month-to-month setup with them right now. They are willing to honor the month-to-month for this month, and then beyond that, if we don't renew the contract, they're not comfortable with that price point. This is a slight increase over what we had previously, but it also adds the chemical refresh to it. We are in design process for replacement for Wilkinson Lane lift station at the moment, which would likely include a more passive odor scrubber, not an active unit like this. But this is a 1-year contract, and we are expecting roughly in 1 year for that station construction to be completed. So the timing and the sequencing works out well.
What's the overage on the difference between this year and last year?
It goes up by $175 a month per unit. We have money in the budget to cover it. We're not getting being over budget. It's just an increase on the contract price.
All right, any other questions, discussion?
Motion to approve.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Other business. To approve or reject a certificate of compliance for MAPCO located at 100 Highway 76. Got a motion?
Motion to discuss.
All right, second?
Second.
Derek, can I talk about this one?
Yeah, so the attorney for MAPCO reached out, they want to start selling kind of like wine coolers and stuff like that, so they went to the state, they said we need to approve a certificate of compliance for to do that.
Okay.
So, that's what this is for.
So this will allow
That would allow them to
wine,
sell
right?
wine.
Okay. Wine coolers are beer, I think, though, right?
Wine coolers are beer. I think
Flavored
wine.
beer.
Wine.
I think wine.
Then wine.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Motion to approve.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To approve or reject Willis Towers Watson's recommendations for Cigna Healthcare for medical, vision, life, AD&D, and long-term disability insurance coverage, Abacus for short-term disability insurance coverage, and Delta Dental for dental insurance coverage. For plan year ending March 31st, 2026, the Human Resources Director recommends approval. Got a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second? Second. All right.
So first, I want to remind everyone that this is Todd Harrison with Willis Towers Watson. He is our representative with our broker. Todd actually negotiated our rates with Cigna this year per his letter that he said, or that was in your packet, I'm sorry. They originally came in with, I believe, a 14.7% increase, negotiated down to a 5% increase. Most trends right now are between, I'm assuming, 15 and 20%.
Correct.
The increase overall, based on current enrollments, is going to be approximately $105,606. Right now, you are not approving how that increase is going to be split out. That's going to be the next thing on your agenda. This is just to approve the carriers. We've had our relationship with Cigna now going on, I believe, 8 or 9 years. During that time, we've received back over $750,000 as part of the type of plan that we're on with the hybrid plan that we're on, which makes it significantly better for us to stay with them. We have longevity, and they have been excellent for us with services.
right, any discussion? Got a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To approve or reject the city absorbing the 5% increase in health insurance premium for the plan year ending March 31st, 2026. The Human Resources Director recommends approval. Got a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second?
Second.
So I have a handout to go with this.
All right.
So Jerry actually asked me to put this handout together today. One of the things that we're looking at, and I know that right now the topic of discussion is the health insurance, but along with that goes the cost of living. So one of the things that we talked about was what our current lowest paid employee would be looking at if, depending on how you decided to break up either the insurance increase or provide cost of living. So that's what these two particular sheets are. I started off and gave you, I believe, 6 different options on going forward. Now, any of these can be changed or tweaked a little bit, but these were just general options for us to discuss tonight. The first option is merit increase only, which means no cost of living is given and only merit increase, and that the employees absorb the full 5% increase on the health insurance. I wrote this out so that it shows a single plan and a family plan, so employee only and family, and how that would affect our lowest paid employee. So if you look, the hourly rate for an employee with merit only on our current lowest paid full-time employee is 37 cents an hour, which is $769.60 a year. If you pass the entire insurance cost on to them, that changes their rate down to only $301 for the employee only rate, which we have a column called healthcare factor. That's if you take out how much their healthcare costs per hour, that increase costs them. So their raise would appear to them to go from 37 cents an hour down to 14 cents an hour. I'm kind of just explaining what's
But what does this cost us to be annually?
For the
increase?
on that particular option, nothing. That is being passed entirely on to the employee. That particular option is.
Okay.
If you absorb 100% of the healthcare cost, it's going to be approximately $105,000 annually. If the city absorbs all of the 5% of the healthcare increase.
How many years, I know this has come up before, but how many years in a row have we done that?
2016 was the last time that the employees, fiscal year ending 2016 was the last time the employees received that the city did not absorb the full cost.
It's almost 10 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Like I said, I've broken this down into different options. Option B is if the city does absorbs 2.5% and the employee absorbs 2.5% with no cost of living. Option C, it's highlighted, that's the break-even point. So if the employee absorbs 100% of the healthcare cost, it would require a 2% cost of living for that lowest paid employee to break even.
So your example of a lowest paid employee is what? Like a part-time, a full-time?
Full-time. Our current lowest paid, not the current that we could have. We could have someone as low as $14.47. Our current lowest paid employee is $14.83 an hour. With their merit, they'll go to $15.20.
And that's like what, a park attendant?
Yes, ma'am. And then the other options go on down. D is if you give the 5% cost of living, but you pass 5% on all of the insurance onto the employee. Option E is if you give the 5% cost of living that's recommended and split the difference on the insurance. And then the last one is if the city absorbs the 5% insurance and gives the 5% cost of living.
So the merit increase is really only to pay for the insurance. It's not really anything else. But then they also get a cost of living increase, and we just gave everyone like a big pay raise with our recent pay study, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the cost of living is meant to make sure that our pay ranges do not fall behind in the market again. That is the only thing that the cost of living is meant to do.
But the merit is only to cover the insurance.
No.
In this particular year, it will, that's what it will happen this
That's not
particular
the
year.
purpose.
But the 2.5% merit is to reward them for meeting the expectations of doing their job and performing well throughout the year.
So then what's the point of the other one?
Of the cost of living?
Yeah.
So the 2.5% merit increase means you go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 as you meet your minimum expectations. But your cost of living moves your entire ranges. So your minimum right now employee makes $14.47 an hour. That will increase that $14.47. Your new minimum will be that plus 5%. So you're staying within market according to inflation.
But we're giving them 5 and 5, so how does that make sense?
Well, the 5% on the insurance is not the same as 5% on their salary. Because that's very, some employees don't take insurance, some employees take family insurance, some employees take employee only. Because we have multiple options, that 5% varies dramatically based on that.
This is just to try to show you what, you know, the lowest paid employee would be. It's full-time, what impact healthcare would cost them if they had to pick it up instead of just picking it up. And that's really the point of this exercise, so you can see the difference in that. So, like you said, the cost of living is something that was recommended in the pay plan. That's why and she gave that to you as a 3-year rolling average. And
yes, sir.
So that was all given to you in that regard. That's the purpose of that. So, and the 2%, 2.5% merit is those that receive merit pay, but that's not every employee receives that.
No, sir. There were 16 employees that did not receive merit increase this year.
And there were some that are going to be topped out too.
Yes,
right?
8 of those 16 have hit their capped out. So they would not get a merit increase because they hit their 20
They
years.
didn't give no raise at all.
Correct.
Yeah, so no.
I think it would have been beneficial to have those numbers. Like, so we see on paper what we're spending on this for the employees that we're spending it on. Does
I
that
think
make
you put
sense?
that in your report, didn't you? I mean,
I didn't know, sir. I didn't for the merit. Are you asking per employee? Is that what you would like to see? Like
Just total annually, what it's costing us.
the 5% cost of living or the 2.5% merit? I have both those numbers.
Cost of living.
Cost of living, let me grab that real quick. If you pass the full 5% cost of living, it would be, for just that, would be $425,500 estimated.
So if we pass that and we pass the merit increases for the insurance,
That would be $593.
so $500,000 on top of what we.
Almost 600,000, yes ma'am.
Okay. I feel like I'm the only one asking questions.
And the 5% merit, or the 5% cost of living, that's just what's recommended. You can give anything up to 5%. You can change that number. That's just based on the 3-year rolling average, which is what Evergreen recommended we do going forward, to make sure that we didn't end up 20% behind in 8 years on our pay
And
plan.
how long ago did we, I should know this, but how long ago did we approve the new?
Last year.
Last year.
Well, last year, but, I mean, was
it went into effect July.
It went into effect
So
July, yes,
basically
sir.
6 months.
Yes, sir.
And that's, I'm all for COLA increase. I don't get them at my day job, but I can understand the logic. My heartburn is that this comes on the heels of just 6 months ago, giving everybody a.
Well, the raise won't occur until July.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Okay.
What about the insurance also? Will it go into effect in July?
It'll go into effect actually in April. So our plan year is April 1 through March 31st. So that will go into effect in April. The raises for both merit and cost of living will not become effective until July.
So it'll be right at a year.
Yes, sir.
Sets the.
One of the things I have looked at with this, and it's kind of getting over into the next item, the COLA too, is we're making kind of decisions before we actually look at our budget for the year. Our budget is presented later on. I know you need this for planning purposes to put into the budget, but a lot of it's based on financial decisions for the next fiscal year where we're making those decisions. We really haven't seen a lot of that information. It's hard for us, and it's good questions Jan was asking, what are the total costs? And but we really don't see that entire picture until later. So that's some of the questions I would have.
Well, the cost of living does not necessarily have to be decided tonight. I don't need that number until first to middle of April to put into the budget. The insurance increase, how you want to split that up, I have to have that tonight because we have to get open enrollment documents ready for open enrollment period, which the first open enrollment meeting is in less than 2 weeks.
I don't want to confuse anyone. I want to support our employees, but I also want to support our citizens that are dealing with stormwater and other issues that we have. And so I think we have to come to a happy medium somewhere.
Now, one of the suggestions that I know Jerry and I talked about, and this kind of goes to what you were saying, Mayor, when we did the pay study last year, it accounted for 2022's inflation, which was 8%. It did not account for 2023's because of when we received those documents. However, if you wanted to just take, instead of doing the 3-year rolling average, look at 2023 and 2024's average and take out 2022 because that was accounted for when we did the pay plan last year, I think that would be perfectly reasonable in this particular situation with the expectation that next year we might look at the 3-year average.
Do you know what that number is?
I can,
No.
it's 4%, let me check real quick.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Math man's over here is doing the math, so.
Yeah.
4.1 and 2.9.
Yeah.
That would be 3.5%.
Okay.
And that would drop the total number, of the cost of living down to, I have that number here. Cost of living only would go from 425.5 to 300,000.
Yeah, because I feel like that 8%, this has sort of already been incorporated into the thing, so to count it again, and hopefully that number just continues to tick.
That's the hope, yes, sir.
down. Okay, so right now we're talking about health insurance premiums,
Right.
so, do we have any other discussion on that? Again, my day job, we employees have to eat the increases every year, which isn't always fun.
As an employee, previous employee, I can say that that was a huge benefit and a big retainer for, I think, a lot of employees, when that was taken by the city.
I do know, and kind of to go along with what Alderman Sisk just said, I looked today just out of curiosity, out of all of our employees, only 9 of them do not take our insurance. And one of them told me today that they will probably be switching to ours, so that would drop that number to 8.
All right, well, any other discussion? We got a motion? We're just voting on the health premiums right now.
This is 105, right?
Yes, sir.
105,000.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To approve or reject the 5% cost of living increase for all city employees for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. Human Resources Director recommends approval. We got a motion?
Motion to discuss
Got a
it.
second? And then, okay, so if you're okay with it, maybe let's punt it to April. It allows our wayward Alderman here that's not here tonight to be here to be part of that too. And then, yeah, we can discuss this more.
We'll probably need to delay it till March, because I have to have it before the board meeting in April. But I don't have an issue with putting it off.
Well, we have our budget discussion.
Yeah.
Budget
The
We can discuss it at the
retreat we have
retreat.
coming up first, we can have some discussion, and we can put it on the March, we could delay this a month until
Okay,
March.
that's fine, yeah.
Give more time to think about it, what would be the best course of action to take.
I think that works. So, do we need to vote on that? Okay. Need a motion to.
Motion to defer it to the
Yep.
next. Okay. Need a motion to defer the 5% COLA to the next meeting.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. To approve or reject scheduling a joint study session with the Board of Mayor and Alderman and Planning Commission regarding land use regulation updates. We got a motion? Everybody have a problem with this?
Motion to approve.
All right, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No discussion items, no other information. We're adjourned. I think it's unfair to count that 8% twice, which is what we're.
Which is what we're doing.
Yeah, so, take it down to 3.5%. That's a little.